My name is Daniel Hart. I'm a 39-year-old field geophysicist, and as it turns out, I'm the accidental public enemy of the Redstone Ridge Homeowners Association. Let me tell you how it all went down. When I first bought my cabin at the very top of Redstone Ridge, I had a simple checklist. I wanted silence. I wanted distance from, well, everything. And I wanted a place where the ground told the truth more often than people did. And for the first year, I got all three. It was perfect. Then the HOA discovered I existed. You see, down in the valley below, my cabin was Redstone Ridge Valley, a meticulously planned suburban paradise. It was a sea of identical homes, matching white fences, and mandatory flower beds. They had a rulebook thicker than my PhD thesis, and I'm not exaggerating, but I lived above all of it, literally. My cabin was built on the only piece of land on the entire ridge that was part of the HOA. It was untamed, unrestricted, with no bylaws telling me what color my mailbox had to be. Life was good. And then the HOA decided they wanted my hill. It started subtly. First, a friendly letter arrived, politely asking if I'd consider joining their community. I ignored it. Then came a follow-up suggestion about the benefits of membership. Ignored that too. This escalated to a strong invitation, then a final reminder. It became clear that when people can't control you, they try to absorb you. And when they can't absorb you, they try to erase you. The HOA made their big move. One morning, I woke up to a line of bright orange construction flags stabbed into the dirt near my northern slope. This wasn't just any part of the ridge. It was the steepest, most unstable region. Their plan, to build a massive sky deck observation park for community enjoyment. The translation was obvious. They wanted to turn my private $1 million view into their public playground. Now, I know this ridge better than anyone. It's a fragile thing built on layers of old sandstone and clay, all of it fractured by decades of freezing and thawing. I'd mapped the whole area myself years ago for a research project. My geological models were crystal clear. Putting any significant load on that specific slope would be like stepping on a landmine. Half the hill would come sliding down into the valley. I marched straight down to the HOA office, which was this pretentious glass box trying way too hard to look important. I asked to speak with their president, a woman named Charlotte Abernathy. For Charlotte, rules were a religion and power was oxygen. She listened to my warnings with a tight smile and told me their engineers had found no risk. I asked to see the report. She just smiled again and said, "It's internal." That SHOA speak for it doesn't exist or it s completely fake. So I did what a scientist does. I filed official warnings with the county. I sent them my data, my topography analysis, my subsurface scans showing the weak fault lines. I practically gift-wrapped the evidence for them. Their response, they started building anyway. I watched in disbelief as steel beams were driven into loose, unstable soil. I saw them pour tons of concrete onto fractured bedrock. They paved over natural runoff channels to create parking lots. Every single day, I stood on my porch and watched them construct a monument to their own arrogance. But as I watched, I realized it wasn't just arrogance. It was something worse: desperation. I did some digging. A local councilman had apparently invested a lot of his own money into the project. The contractor they hired had a reputation for cutting corners. The HOA desperately needed a prestige project to show off. And if they had to bulldoze basic geology and common sense to get it, they were more than willing. Then the ground began to speak. It started with small tremors that only my instruments could detect. Then hairline cracks started appearing on the lower trail near the construction site. My moisture sensors deep in the earth started showing alarming spikes. The tilt meters on the trees showed they were leaning just a few millimeters more each day. The ridge was groaning under the strain, giving one warning after another. I compiled all this new data and submitted it again. This time I got no response at all. Then came the storm. It wasn't just rain. It was the kind of storm that felt like it was trying to punch holes in the earth. It hammered the ridge for 14 straight hours, relentless and unforgiving. All night, I watched my subsurface monitors climb into the red. By dawn, they were screaming at critical levels. At 6:42 in the morning, the fault line gave up. It was a sound I'll never forget. A low, gut-wrenching roar as a section of the ridge 40 meters wide sheared off and began its journey downward. The HOA's beloved skydeck, their monument to ignorance, twisted like a dying insect and rode the landslide into the valley. Concrete shattered like glass. Steel beams snapped like twigs. Cars in the new parking lot just disappeared into the earth. A dozen homes at the base of the slide suffered immediate structural failure. And when the dust finally started to settle, every news camera, every official, every angry finger pointed in one direction, at me. The HOA went on the offensive immediately. They blamed me. They spun this wild story that I had installed illegal underground water channels to sabotage them. They claimed my cabin's position diverted runoff in an unnatural way. They even claimed my geophysical sensors somehow interfered with soil stability. None of it made a lick of scientific sense, but lies don't have to. They just have to be repeated loudly and often. The county opened a full-scale investigation. Reporters camped outside my gate. Online forums exploded with conspiracy theories. My favorite was a comment that said, "That guy always looked suspicious. Scientists are weird. But here's the thing about a fight between people and geology. The ground doesn't lie. People do it." My counterattack wasn't emotional. It was geological. I didn't scream or shout. I gathered evidence. I brought in a team of the best independent structural geologists I knew. We ran ground-penetrating radar scans across the entire collapse zone. We built complex hydrology models. We used drone surveys to create a millimeter-perfect 3D map of the slide. We proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that the slope failure originated directly beneath the faulty foundation of the HOA's new set. It was an open and shut case, geologically speaking. And then the bombshell dropped. A whistleblower, an accountant from inside the HOA, leaked a trove of emails. The truth was worse than I imagined. The emails showed that the HOA knew their soil test was falsified. They showed the contractor had bribed a city official to get the permits pushed through. They showed their structural engineer wasn't even licensed for hillside development. The smoking gun was a line from Charlotte Abernathy herself. She had written, "Daniel will complain, but he doesn't have the legal reach to stop us. Oh, Charlotte." The fallout was immediate and spectacular. The county reversed the entire case against me. The HOA president, Charlotte, was indicted on multiple charges. The councilman was forced to resign in disgrace. Multiple homeowners launched lawsuits against the HOA, and their insurance company denied them coverage, citing their decision to knowingly ignore geological warnings. And as for me, I'm standing on my deck right now. The wind is cold and clean. The ridge is damaged, but it's healing. And I'm listening to the sound I love the most in this world: absolute, uninterrupted silence. For the first time in months, I feel alive again. The ground told the truth, and this time everyone was forced to listen. Thanks for watching my story. If you've ever had your own battle with an HOA, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where science takes a stand. See you next time.